How did a nation of more than 7,000 islands become the biggest nightmare for a rising superpower like China? This is the untold story of the Philippines, a country that may seem small on the map, but holds one of the most important positions in the entire world. To understand why China fears the Philippines, you must first look at geography. The South China Sea, a body of water that is one of the busiest trade routes on Earth, more than one-third of global trade, worth trillions of dollars, passes through it every single year. It is also rich with oil, gas, fish, and resources that any nation would fight to control. China has claimed almost all of this sea through what it calls the 9-dash line. But here lies the problem. Many other countries, including Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and most importantly the Philippines, also have claims in these waters, and under international law, most of China's sweeping claims are illegal. In 2016, an international tribunal in The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines, declaring that China had no historic right to the waters it was trying to dominate. It was a huge victory for a smaller nation standing up to a giant. And while China ignored the ruling, the rest of the world noticed the Philippines had become a symbol of resistance, a country willing to fight for its sovereignty against one of the most powerful states on Earth. This was the beginning of China's nightmare. Because if one small country could stand up and win legally against Beijing, then what would stop others from doing the same? This case damaged China's reputation worldwide and put the Philippines at the center of a struggle for the future of Asia. But the nightmare does not stop with law. It continues with alliances for decades. The Philippines has had a defense treaty with the United States, meaning that if the Philippines is attacked, the U.S. is obligated to come to its aid. At first, this treaty was symbolic, but in recent years, it has become very real as tensions rise. Washington and Manila have revived their close ties. The U.S. now has access to multiple bases across the Philippines, including ones strategically located near the South China Sea and close to Taiwan. From China's perspective, this is a disaster. It means that in any future conflict, the U.S. could use Philippine territory to contain or block China's forces. The Philippines acts as a gateway and a shield, making it harder for China to expand beyond its borders. This geographic reality is why the Philippines has become a key part of the so-called First Island Chain, a series of nations stretching from Japan to Taiwan to the Philippines and down to Malaysia and Indonesia. This chain acts like a wall. If China wants to break out into the wider Pacific, it must get past the Philippines and its allies. And that is no easy task. Every base agreement, every joint military drill, every patrol with allies adds to Beijing's frustration. But beyond strategy and military power lies the real strength of the Philippines, its people. The Filipino spirit has proven to be one of the most resilient in the world, despite natural disasters, poverty, and political challenges. Filipinos continue to show courage and determination. This resilience is what makes China's intimidation fail. When Chinese Coast Guard ships block Filipino fishermen, they do not give up. They keep returning to their waters because they know it is their right. When Chinese vessels harass supply boats at contested islands, the Philippines does not back down. Instead, it exposes China's aggression to the world, and every video, every news story damages Beijing's image further. This people-powered resistance is something China cannot control or silence. It is not just about governments making deals. It is about ordinary Filipinos defending their seas and their way of life. And that makes them unpredictable and powerful. Another reason why the Philippines is such a nightmare for China is because it is no longer standing alone. Japan has invested billions into Philippine infrastructure. While also strengthening military cooperation, Australia provides patrol boats and training. India is building new ties in defense and technology. Even European nations have sent ships to sail through the South China Sea. In solidarity, all of this creates a web of support around the Philippines, making it harder for China to isolate it or pressure it. And with every new agreement, the circle around Beijing tightens. What China expected was an easy way to dominate its neighbor. What it got instead was a united region determined to keep the seas free and open. But perhaps the greatest fear for Beijing is the link between the Philippines and Taiwan. Taiwan is the island that China has vowed to take back by force if necessary. And just north of the Philippines lies the Luzon Strait, one of the most critical waterways in the world. If conflict ever erupts over Taiwan, the Philippines becomes essential for the U.S. and its allies to respond. Its bases, its location, and its proximity to the battlefield turn it into the front line in a war China desperately wants to avoid. This is why every move by the Philippines is watched closely in Beijing. Every agreement with Washington, every announcement of drills, every delivery of new ships or planes feels like a step closer to encirclement. And in Chinese strategy, encirclement is the ultimate nightmare, because it means being trapped, contained, and unable to expand. This is why the Philippines matters so much. But the nightmare is not just about military strategy, it is also about time. China knows that the longer the Philippines resists, the stronger it becomes each year. Its military modernizes its alliances, deepen its people, grow more united, and its importance to global trade only increases every aggressive act by Beijing. Every time it bullies a fishing boat or blocks a supply ship, it pushes the Philippines further away and closer to its allies. Instead of weakening it, China has unintentionally made the Philippines stronger, and that strength is spreading across the region, inspiring others to resist as well. What Beijing wanted was to dominate quietly. What it created was a rallying point for freedom. This is why the Philippines is not just a local challenge, it is a global symbol. It represents the idea that even a smaller nation with determination and the right friends can stand up to a superpower. And that example is something China fears deeply, because it shows the limits of intimidation and the power of unity. In the end, the Philippines has become China's biggest nightmare, not because of the size of its navy or the number of its soldiers, but because of its position, its alliances, its people, and its determination. It stands as a gatekeeper of the South China Sea, a partner of the world's strongest militaries, and a voice that cannot be silenced. And as long as it holds firm, China's dream of domination will remain just that, a dream. So now that you know the truth, you can see why the Philippines matters, far more than many realize, and why its fight is shaping the future of Asia. This story is not just about one nation. It is about freedom, sovereignty, and the balance of power in the world. And it is a story that deserves to be heard. Share this video, spread the truth, and let others see why the Philippines has become the nightmare that China cannot escape.